Well, hello, Lisa. This is Sharon on the West Coast.
Well, hi, West Coast Sharon. This is Lisa on the East Coast. How are you today?
It's Friday. We're here to
Happy
talk
Friday.
about one of my favorite legends, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a pretty cool woman if was a pretty cool woman if I say so myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So, if you are popping on, you have landed on Coast to Coast Beauty, and as I said, I am Sharon Davis on the West Coast.
And I'm Lisa Washington coming to you from Hotlanta on the East Coast. Thank you for dropping in. And if you're listening to the replay, thank you for listening and watching.
And together we are
Coast to
Two
Coast.
Coast Beauty.
Yes.
So, usually we start off coast to coast with I saying, Lisa, what are we going to talk about? And popping you up so you could share that while I share out the video. But
Mhm.
guess what?
What?
Facebook did something different.
What did they do?
I don't know. but, but I know that I know that Facebook has several applications that run at one time. I mean, different people will have different things. So I don't know that, everybody has this big change, but my big change is that the groups, the way they're listed is totally different. And I couldn't find any of the groups that I generally post in. So I'm just gonna just share this to my personal page. And if you want to share it to your personal page, that's about it for today.
Girl, I'll do that later. I'm technically challenged today. Not gonna
Okay.
try that. I might find myself off of here and can't get back on. And
Yeah.
the only
Okay.
thing I noticed on my Facebook page was that all the icons changed. On my group, my listing of groups and pages, all the icons changed.
Yeah,
That's
that's the icons changed, and then the way they have it listed. So
organization.
yeah, so the listing is different. So I had to actually go looking through each one to find groups. I'm like, what is going on? Do they not know that this can, mess up a girl's whole day?
No warning.
No warning whatsoever.
But when you're the 800-pound elephant, you can do whatever you want.
That is true.
No permission needed and no apologies given. You just do what you want.
Just do what you want. You do what you want. And that is absolutely what they're doing. And they are making changes that are, to our benefit. I understand that, there was some things that needed to be addressed for our, personal protection and privacy and so forth. So, we'll go with the punches for a while,
We'll
I
do.
guess. Yeah. So I'm trying to grab the link on here just to try to post it to my page. And well, anyway, that's not going to work that way. So I'm going to share it this way.
Okay. So
I'm just going to hit share and see what happens.
what happens? Hey, it's all an experiment, an exercise in and what if? What I wonder what would happen if I did this.
Yeah.
That's what I look at.
And usually that's fine, but we're in the middle of a broadcast. So that's not always fun. So we are talking today about,
Maya Angelou.
yeah,
Poet, oh my God, philanthropist, speaker, author, world philosopher. My goodness, the educator, the names, the titles just go on and on. I'm sorry.
actress.
Actress, activist. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Um, all of those things and more. So, a phenomenal woman.
And you know what? I'm looking here. It says director and producer as well. I didn't know that.
She produced television shows and directed television shows and even documentaries, and I'm not sure what else, but yes, she was
Plays and movies. Yeah.
played.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. See?
Well, I'm going to tell you what reason I personally fell in love with this woman, and how she impacted my life personally is that I was struggling with my daughter and getting her to read. She just did not have time for that. No, she doesn't have time for that. And we were watching this one movie that, I'm like, I don't want to watch this movie, but okay, the kids get their choice of the movie this week, and it was her choice, and we were watching Poetic Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And the poetry in the movie got my daughter's attention. She just fell in love. And I said, well, not most of, all the poetry in that movie is by one author, and I'm going to get you that book. And that began her love of reading. And she's read, I'm sure, everything that Maya Angelou's written. And as it developed into her teenage years, not teenage, where she was older, a young adult, where her and her friends, she had a group of friends, that they would meet at Denny's at 3 a.m, drink coffee, and write poetry. And it all stemmed from that movie and her poetry.
Wow.
So
that's beautiful. That even reminds me of one of the things we're going to talk about, turning your struggles into triumph, So I know we're going to get to that later, but, that story does remind me of that. But you know what? My youngest son and I were at the bookstore recently. I think about a week or two ago, it was National Book Week. And
Library Week or something.
And we were talking about how he hated reading at one time. Mm-hmm. And he actually said, I think that the person who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird should be killed. Preferably with a mockingbird. So he was just, because it was required reading at school, and he hated it. He didn't want to do it. And I said, well, you can't complain about the problem if you're not willing to be a part of the solution. So if you had your choice, what would you read? Well, I don't know, but it wouldn't be this. And so we had to go to the library, and he had to make a list of 3 to 5 books that if he could tell the headmaster what he wanted to read, these would be the books. And so, again, he loved poetry, and he picked out some books that were more in line with what he wanted. But it just reminded me of that when you were saying that your daughter didn't like to read either. And there was a turning point. Now, the last time we went to the bookstore, we spent over $100. And this child, I was like, you got an expensive habit. And he was like, I'm sorry, Mom. I said, no. Don't apologize for reading. Never, ever, ever apologize for having a love of reading and learning and having a love for books. I said, I was just making a side comment that of all the books in the bookstore, you do like to pick the most expensive ones. So yeah, we laugh about the fact that we were separated at birth, but it's kind of a little amazing how a lot of our lives kind of are similar. That's what I was looking for. So yes,
my son, the author was Walter Mosley that opened up reading for him, but Maya Angelou definitely was.
My girlfriend Karen in New York, she lives in New York. She was the one who introduced me to Maya. I had not heard of her at the time. I love to read, and she was talking about some of Maya's poems, and I'd never heard of her. She was like, as much as you read, you've never heard of her? Where have you been? And I said, well, you know what? Reading goes in stages. You might read one, you might fall in love with one genre, and then you read, I mean, you're like stuck in that genre for a while, and then you will move to something will kind of kick you into a different one. And so she was the one who kicked me into Maya's reading, and I started with the book of poems. So, hi, who is that?
That's one of the eye doctors dropping in on us today.
Oh, hi, doctor. Hello.
How are you doing? I know I got to talk to you today too. So
okay.
It's been a rough week.
Doctor as in Sharon.
I'm sorry.
Eye doctor as in
eye doctor as in iPhone, iPad, basically anything that has to do with electronics.
mobile electronics.
Yeah, phone, mobile devices, and so forth. The eye doctors can hook you up locally, as well as you know, they do mailing service as well.
Yes, I mailed my iPhone from the East Coast to the West Coast, and the eye doctors hooked me up. Yes, they did.
Yes. In a matter of what was it, less than a week?
Less than a week, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I popped it in an envelope and put it in the mail. 2 days later, I got a text and received your phone. It'll be ready in 2 days. 2 days later, it was headed back to the East Coast to me, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's that. I might be a little biased, but yeah, I think they're pretty great.
I do too. All right, so
get him down. Why can't I get you off of here? Okay, there, because we have also one more. We have my grandma, who's not.
Oh, hi.
I'm having difficult popping the things up.
Okay, I see. She's been missing for a minute.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, back to Maya Angelou and how this woman has touched the lives of so many people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you saw the list that I had earlier. What where is it now?
Top 10 rules for success. Maya's top 10 rules for success.
Yes. And it starts with, and actually she has a video that she goes into detail as to what she means. And the way she, explains things is just so eloquent. One of the things that I have gotten personally from her in terms of talking, speaking, counseling even, is learning how to use your voice in a reflective manner. Knowing how to actually use the silence and the pauses to emphasize the words in the statements that you're trying to make.
More so than some people try to use power, their pitch, the volume pitch, but she does use pausing and the silence in between the words to make a statement, unlike anybody I've ever seen. And that's amazing. It was totally her style. I've never seen anybody else do it.
Well, there's a lot of people that do it, but nah, she's the master. and still, even with pitch and tone, she was, just all around, she was the master. It was just amazing. But the first thing on the list was out of Maya Angelou's 10 rules for success, just do right.
Do you think Nike borrowed that from her?
They cut out, but they said what? Just do it. But
yes,
do right.
Yeah.
Isn't it so much easier?
It's so much easier. You know, when I first saw that, I thought, why is that number one? You know, because there are some other powerful things there. And I thought, well, why is that number one? But when she explained it, and she says, you know what's right. Just do it. And so it was the fact that she has so much faith in human being, the human family as a whole, to know right from wrong. She just absolutely believed that everybody knows what's right. Because sometimes we say, oh, he didn't know any better. She didn't know any better. She didn't believe that.
No. And she described it with, she used the illustration of her grandmother saying, baby, now you know what's right. I mean, and that, I love that part too, is that, you know, the way she would use people, and she would actually change her voice to reflect them. And it just made it, you know, the whole premise of storytelling is such a lost art anymore.
Yeah. In a digital world, that is one of the things we are losing, the art of storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was number 2 on her list?
Okay. Number 2 was be courageous. And this was one that I needed the reminder of. I needed the reminder to be courageous. And she did explain that it's because of all the virtues, courageous is the most important one, simply because it allows you to actually do all the other things. She says, you know, no matter what the virtue is, at some point in time in your life, it's going to be difficult to do that. But if you have courage, if you're courageous, you will do it through the difficult times. You will do it when it's easy, and you will do it when it's difficult. And so that's the one virtue that allows you to be true to all the other ones. And I thought, wow, that's very important. I know for me, sometimes I actually just pray for more courage. I know I need it. And I know that, you know, you might be courageous in one situation and not in another. And well, it might be easier to be courageous in one situation than it is in another. And so, you know, it might take a little extra effort. So there you have it. Be courageous.
Be courageous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the next one was, I would put on my top one.
That was my top one too. Go ahead. That was my top one too.
She broke it down about, you know, love. You can't give again what you just don't have. So you have to start that love journey with yourself.
Mm-hmm. You really can. And she said she doesn't trust anyone that says, I love you, when it's evident that they don't love themselves. Because of that, how can you give me what you don't have? You cannot. So, but she took it deeper when she talked about the love that you receive from other people become a part of you and go with you where you go. Oh my God. That was so deep for me, but I got it. When she says, you know, when it actually brought something to mind for me. I once overheard a conversation about myself that I was not supposed to overhear. Okay.
Ooh, that would have been interesting.
It was someone who compared herself to me, and she said, in her, paraphrasing it, she was prettier, she had a better figure, you know, shape. And you know, when she and you know, if she walked into a room, you know, heads would turn, and she thought the heads would turn because of her beauty, and that I wasn't as pretty as her, or you know, my figure wasn't as on point as she thought of hers. But she was upset because we had walked into a room and she didn't turn heads, and I did. And it wasn't because I was pretty. It wasn't because I was prettier than her or because I looked finer than her. It was because of what Maya was talking about in here, because I walked in there with all the love and all the confidence of the people who had poured into me. When I walked into, they came with me. And it gave me chills when I heard her say it, because I knew that it wasn't about me and who I was. I am not that powerful, but all the people who have ever loved me, who have ever cared about me, who are even strangers who have been kind to me, they have put something in me, and I take that with me wherever I go. And you know, you can call it swagger. She called it charisma. And nowadays, the young people call it swagger. Whatever you want to call it, it is not something that can be taken away from you. When you walk into a room with it, you own it. Yeah, so that gave me chills. Even now.
She said, now come on now, because I need you, and we got someplace to go. We got something to do. Talking about not just people alive and here with us now, but people that have been, come and gone, and all of their essence, just bring them with you.
Yeah. And I tell you the truth, when I was listening to her, I thought about my grandma who said, now a woman is this way, but a lady is this way. And you are a lady. So, she was the one with walk tall, shoulders back, chin up, smile. And, she poured so much into me that I take it with me. I can't leave it if I try. And so, wow.
Everyone you ever knew.
Yeah.
And the next one was laugh. Laugh.
Okay, so I'm known as the giggler, so I got that down kind of. I got that one. Yeah, laugh. And she didn't go into too much detail, but you know what? She did say laughter is like a self-defense. It's like a healer. It's like a wall around you to stop the
medicine. It's a medicine.
It's so, and you know what? At one point in my life, I did go into a point where I wasn't happy. I wasn't laughing. And I realized that I wasn't. And it became a goal of mine to go back to being a happy, laughing person. And I did. And I don't let anybody pull me off of that for more than, 30 seconds or maybe a couple of minutes. Or what did you say? On Thursday? On Thursday? On Thursday?
Oh, yeah.
On Thursday between what time?
Oh, yeah. Well, you can't tell everybody that, Lisa. That's kind of private.
Okay, so
I do have this theory. I'll kind of share a little bit about it. I do have this theory that, you do allow yourself a few minutes to have a pity party on Thursdays, and only from 2 to 4.
There we go.
That's it.
It's laughter.
4:02, you got to get up and get on with it.
With a smile on your face. Yeah. You absolutely do. And I will tell you something else. I was having a really serious conversation with a peer recently. And she said, something is wrong. And I said, there's nothing wrong. And she says, no, something is wrong. And I said, nothing is wrong. And she says, Lisa, you have this amazing ability to show up and perform and smile and act in the way that everybody, is looking and has come to expect you to act. But she says, there's a little telltale that I know if something's wrong. She says, just because you showed up and you were smiling and you performed perfectly like everybody expected you to, that doesn't mean that there's not something wrong. But the point of the matter is, I have made a pact with myself that I don't let the actions of people around me pull me away from my joy. I just don't. And if, I have to, whatever it takes, if they nudge me an inch to the left, I'm going to put extra effort into getting back on track. Or if they nudge me to the right, it's going to be the same way.
I have to admit that yesterday on Thursday, I did let that slip, okay, and let other folks pull me into something that. But again, it was Thursday, and today is another day.
So today we laugh.
Today.
And if you've ever heard saw maybe by video Maya read some of her poetry, she inflects so much body language into it, laughter and dancing, and oh my goodness, and the list just goes on. You can.
And that's a part of the storytelling aspect of it, is that she puts, she'll put, like, say, like if she's saying, I remember her doing this thing where she was like, and grandma was sewing this, and she kept going back to that, and she was sewing this, and then as she went on, you lost the need for the words. You knew the action that she was making and what it was meaning to say, and it brought you back to, again, the change in her voice to represent the change of the person she's talking about, and the action and the story, her body language, everything became part of it. I mean, she was such a gift. My goodness.
Yeah. Excuse me.
No. Your eyes are red.
Yeah. Some of it is allergies and some of it is emotions. I'll just go ahead and say.
Yeah, it is. I do get that emotion from feeling, so much that she gave. And the next one being a blessing to somebody. And I think she said every day, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, she did. And her illustration or analogy of clouds and rainbows was pretty spot on. There is always going to be clouds that come in your life. I don't care who you are. You're not going to come on this earth and live here and not have some times when there are clouds or things that, make your disposition cloudy or your life look cloudy. But you can be a rainbow. After the clouds come, after the rain comes the rainbow. So you can be a rainbow for someone else, or meaning be a blessing, be kind to somebody, be a blessing to somebody, and you will be that rainbow for their clouds. And she talked about the people that in her life. She's noticed that every time she's had some clouds in her life, there was always a rainbow from someone, somewhere, something bright and beautiful and pretty and worthwhile came out of it. So I was like, wow, deep.
Yeah. That always reminded me of what I referred to as my red lipstick year. And it was like, and going back to what you said just a minute ago, is that, knowing that you show up, you do what you have to do, you're on. And I talk about this on one of my videos. I think it's on YouTube, but I actually would come to work or wherever I'm supposed to be, and I'd sometimes be crying all the way there. I'd get there, I'd put on my red lipstick, I'd get out the car, and I was on 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it was. Get back in the car, wiped off my red lipstick, cried my way home.
Oh my God.
But it was it was that rainbow. That was the rainbow that I was holding on to. And in the course of that day, I could give rainbows to so many other people. Even if I didn't have one, I had the resemblance of the rainbow to be able to share with somebody. And that itself brings rainbows to you.
Right. So be a blessing to someone else, and you will receive blessings. That's just all there is to it. Maybe not from the person that you gave one to, but they will show up. They will show up in your life. So I love that. All right. So number 6 was turn your struggles into triumph. This was the one that was the hardest for her to get through.
Yeah. But she did that in so many ways in her life.
Yes. Yes. You know what I thought about when I watched her talking about it? I thought about, my mom used to say, and I know it's an old adage, what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And so if you turn your struggles into triumphs, or you turn something that could have defeated you into a victory, it is because no matter what happens, the same thing could happen to two different people, and it could break one person and it could make another one. It could, and when I say make, I mean make them stronger, make them bigger, better, stronger. And I think that sometimes it's as simple as a decision. Sometimes it's about who you have around you, who's pouring rainbows into your life. And so for me, it was just a reminder to me to turn my struggles into triumph. And I think that in a way I'm there anyway. But sometimes when you're going through a new struggle, you forget that you are the kind of person who turns them into triumphs. When you're in the thick of it, it's like you're at war. It's hard to look up and think about the kind of person that you are. Looking back, you can see, yes, I had that struggle. I was at war with something right there, but I overcame. I was victorious. I did turn it into a triumph. But when you're in it, it's hard to think about. It's hard to remember. And again, it would be great if you had those people around you pouring rainbows into you, and they would be there to remind you.
And that's also when you need all those people that you bring with you.
Yeah.
Be right there with you and reminding you that as well. You have to get in a quiet place and listen to your thoughts, listen to your strengths, talk to you, because they will. And will tell you, remind you who you are. Rally around. Yeah.
And boy, are we going to talk about that quiet place again in number 8. But first, number 7.
But before we go to number 7, I wanted to say that, when you look at her life, and actually her first book was about, one major thing that happened to her that turned her into one of the greatest poets that ever lived. I mean, and it talks about how she actually stopped using her voice because she felt that her words could kill people. She thought that her words had killed someone. So that, to me, that's just like amazing that when you look at what happened, how it happened, and maybe that time that she spent not speaking was a preparation
for a lifetime of speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So the next one, number 6. Yeah, 7. You're right.
Number 7.
You are talented. You are talented.
You are talented. Okay, so this one really did touch me because I really do believe that every person ever born was born with some talents. Excuse me. Or some gift. Not everybody developed them. Not everybody nurtures them. Not everybody feeds and grows them or even recognizes them, but everybody is born with some talents. And one of the, I almost think, tragedies of the education system is that it kind of turns every child into a clone instead of developing innate talents. But hopefully the parents at home would start early, nurturing that and instilling that into the child and recognizing that And I that one was just deep. It was just really, really deep. The fact that she truly believed that every single person, even artistic, even it doesn't matter. She just believed that you are born with some talents, and that is so big and so infinite that we have would never even be able to tap into all of it.
And she talked about that in terms of the autistic children and what the magnificent gifts that they have can take numbers and break them down to like the most smallest denominator, and you know, people just put you in one category. Oh, they're just this, and they're not. Oh, just this. They are so much more if we only just take the time to actually hone in and celebrate what their talents are.
Yeah. Yes.
Instead of just, you know, only concentrating on what their defects may be.
Yeah. Special needs.
Yeah. Yeah. We all have special needs. All of us. I know I do.
Yes. Special. Yeah. So the fact that she saw so deep and saw so much and saw so clear was amazing to me. It was amazing. Phenomenal. Okay. And so that leads us to number 8, learn to say no. Now oh my goodness, I have heard this. I believe it. I say it. I preach it. I teach it. I mentor it. Learn to say no. You will never have the time and energy and space to do the important things in your life if you allow other people to push the things that are important to them into you. Okay. So, but she put such a different spin on it. Okay. And it goes back to what you were saying about getting quiet and getting clear in your own mind. But if your mind is so cluttered because you never say no to anybody, anything, you're just like a leaf on the wind just being thrown, or on the waves being thrown hither and there, everywhere. But if you learn to say no, you can create a quiet, clear space inside of you. And as you were saying, that's where you can go when you're in the thick of a struggle, and you can go there and get quiet, and you can see what you're bringing to the table. You can see the people who have poured into you and what they gave you. You can see what you are and who you are. But if you don't ever say no to anybody, then you're not going to have that clear, clean space to go to. And she was like, and don't let anybody talk to you a certain way. I mean, she just went so deep with that. That was just say no, that she took it to a whole nother level. I've never seen. Yeah.
And honestly, those of us who spend time telling other people that, we have to make time to make sure we reiterate that to ourselves, because especially like in my field, I've always known that there's always somebody that needs help, that's worthy of your time. There's always some group that you can benefit. But you have to recognize the fact that if you don't replenish you can't be any good to anybody or anyone. Yeah, we want to give those rainbows, but you cannot pour from an empty vase.
This is so true. And I know many years ago, I don't remember where I heard this from, but I did. And it was someone talking about seasons in your life. And so what I teach, what I mentor is that when I mentor about saying no, everybody's life goes through seasons. It might be your season to be the rainbow, or to help a certain group, or to support a certain cause. But if you have already dedicated this season in your life for something else, then you have to say no. You have to say no to something so that you will have the time, the energy, the mental faculty, the resources to for the things that you do say yes to. Okay. So if it's your season, for instance, I talk to women that I mentor about business, and they talk about, oh, I don't have time. I just feel like I never have time. I never have time. I said, okay, are you sure this is your season to grow your business? And if there are, then that means that it's not your season to be the cheerleader mom, head mom. Okay. If it's your season to be the cheerleader head mom, this might be not be your season to grow your business. Everything is you have to make choices. And so, you have to decide if it's your season to do something that is on your heart and is important, then you have to sit down and make choices about what you're going to move off of your plate. What are you going to say no to? Who are you going to say no to? And you definitely should always say no to someone who is, as she was saying, going to treat you in a way that you don't deserve to be treated. Mm. Talk to you in a certain way. And, you have to decide that you're worthy of being treated with respect. And if once you do that, you will say no and get back or stay back to the people who don't want to treat you that way.
Right. Because just like there's some people bringing rainbows, there are some people bringing storm clouds.
Yes. Dragging a whole hurricane behind them. Category 5. They are dragging that storm. Okay. And you can see it. And if you don't say no, guess what? That's what your life is going to be like that.
Hi, Latifah. Thank you for joining us, sweetie.
Hi, Latifah. Oh my goodness. It's great to see you. Okay, so where were we?
Ooh, where are we? 8 now?
9.
9.
Oh my goodness, we're getting through this. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Always do your best. I don't know. And I don't think she put an emphasis on your. She just said always do your best. But when I'm talking to myself, I say always do your best, Lisa. So what do you think? What were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts, is that, you represent who you are and set that standard for you. I mean, what your best may be is going to be different than somebody else's best, but there's no reason to show up to do half of what you can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, why? What's the point? Stay home.
Go big, go. Do your best or stay home. I like that. Go big or go home. Yeah. You know what? She said, oh, I noticed that in interviews and in her lectures, and generally she would ask, how do you know? You don't know. When people would assume a negative outcome or less than positive outcome or even a limited outcome, it might not be negative. It might even be good, but it's just a little good. And she would say, how do you know? It might be infinitely bigger. You don't know. How do you know that that's it? And so she just questioned the limitations of the glass ceiling on everything. She questioned the ceilings on talent. She questioned the ceilings on ability and on everything. And I thought that was amazing how big her mind was. She didn't put limits on hardly anything. And she always questioned people, well, how do you know? Even expert, how do you know? You don't know. This person could go on and do great things, or you could go on to do great things. So when you're doubting yourself, or you thinking that, I can do this, but not that, or I can go this far, she's saying, do your best. You don't know how big you can go or how big it can get. You don't know the greatness that you could cause. And that reminded me when I was listening to her of the butterfly effect. That says, if a butterfly so much as flap his wings on one side of the world, it could cause a tsunami on the other side of the world. Meaning that little actions that you think are so minute could have far-reaching effects that you would never know about and go on possibly forever. And so she just saw that and believed that and taught that. And it showed up in everything that she did.
Yeah, I always, echo.
Yeah, you are echoing.
I always think about, if you don't do the best you can you live with the outcome of that?
The what if?
Yeah. If I had just been 100% in it, if I had just completed, what might have changed? You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not one to give up. I mean, on anything, even sometimes to clearly my detriment.
You know, you don't know.
How,
I'm like, Mark, how do you know? You don't know.
but I know that I know I can't live with not knowing that I put everything in it. So when at some point I have to say, okay, this is as far as I can go. I know I have gone as far as I can go.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying. You don't want to look back and say, what if? You're going to say, you know what? I gave it everything I had. Okay, what I got, the results I got are the results I got. I can live with the results because I know I gave it everything I had at that moment. Okay. Yeah. And it is about the moment, because you might be able to do more later. You might have been able to do more in the past, but that's not what's relevant. What's relevant is in the moment, what can you do? And when you give it your best, then you know that you have given it, the universe is happy with it. You gave it everything. So number 9, always do your best. Wow. Powerful lesson for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. The last one, Lisa.
Oh my goodness. Keep rising. Keep rising. And I know she wrote, a poem about it. That's one of her most famous works. I believe it has to be probably the most famous work that she's done. Anybody that doesn't know about her books and her directors and her film and all of that, they usually know about the film I Rise. I'm sorry, the poem I Rise. But she wrote that because she believed that in every circumstances that you encounter, every adversity, every challenge, you keep rising. And it's as simple. There's not a whole lot I can say about that, except for it was the philosophy that she lived by. And I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that I could say much more about that either. It's just, the knowing that no matter what, you have that ability to rise. You can choose to rise in any situation.
Yes. Was it an old it's some old Japanese or Chinese proverb? What fall down 7 times, get up 8, or something like that. No matter how many times you go down, you rise, you get back up. So I love it. I try to live by it. So far, I've done a pretty good job. Yeah, I've been knocked down a few times, and I've fallen down a few times, for various reasons. But you know what? It's never been my mental thought, I'm down here now, I should just stay. No.
Well, there's been a few times when I have consciously said, well, just let me lay here a moment. Just a moment. And then I rise with much more strength and much more power, much more direction. But again, that's the times, when you're reflecting and you're pulling those people that are with you and they're strengthening you. It doesn't mean you give up. It means you're replenishing yourself.
You're in your quiet place. Oh. Okay. So when you get knocked down, crawl into your quiet place, do a little reflecting, and come out swinging. I
With
got
both
it.
hands.
With both hands. I got it. I got it. Wow. Maya's top 10 rules for success. I really got some benefit from them all.
Yes.
Some of them resonated a little bit more, but I really got benefit from them all. Okay.
And to me, they all intertwined.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. And I will say that if you're listening or if you listen to the replay and you're not familiar with Maya's work, it's out there everywhere. You can buy her books on Amazon, in bookstores. You know, I'm a firm believer in going to the bookstore sometimes, because if we don't support them, they're probably going to go out of business. But I did read some great statistics, and I think we should talk about that next week, about the I generation. Have you heard of the I generation? You remember Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z? Well, there's an I generation that's coming up, and this generation does read and buy books more so than the past few. And there's some other unique things about this generation. And if you're in a business, if you're in business, or if you're a parent of one of these that's fall into that generation, which is like from 13 to 21, I would say, or 22. I'm not sure. It starts at about 13, where they call the tweens, right before the teens. Even some groups started at 11. Then you might join us next week. But back to the original thought, which was if you're not familiar with Maya's work, go out there and get some of it. Buy a book, or you know, there's a lot of it out there free on the internet. Just familiarize yourself with her. She has some really good life lessons that you can apply instantly, and you can rise above where you are currently by applying some of these things that she shared.
And if you actually look on the blurb that I put for this broadcast, I have her link. You can click on her name. It'll take you to her Facebook page, and you can find out all kinds of stuff there as well. So I guess next week we're talking about the I generation. Is that what you just?
I would love to talk about the I generation next week, if it's okay with you.
That's fine. Let's find out about these I generations. I have a few granddaughters in that generation.
Okay. Loving it. Okay. All right.
So join us next Friday, same time, 11 a.m. on Pacific and
2 p.m. Eastern.
yes.
And all points in between.
So I guess we've come to the end of another successful episode, Lisa.
It looks like we have. This was way deeper than I thought it was going to be, but I loved it. I really loved it. I love getting reflective. And you know, our goal is always to bring you some tips and points and thoughts to help you live a better, a well-lived life. And I think that these. Oh, hi, Sonia.
I haven't seen her in a while.
I'm sorry.
Because I haven't seen her in a while. She's been all over the world. She's a traveling lady.
Ah, nice. Awesome. Yeah. We should do an episode on traveling too.
Oh, we should. And she should probably come in and join us on that, huh, Sonia?
Yeah. She's got my vote.
She's one of our pop ladies, one of our pop sisters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have my vote. I'd love for her to come on and share.
And hoodwinked, Sonia.
Yeah.
Okay, so I am Sharon Davis on the West Coast.
And I am Lisa Washington on the East Coast. And together we are Coast
to Coast.
Beauty.
And we thank you for joining us. Please, if you're watching on the replay, give us a little hi, hello, you saw us, what you thought. What is your favorite piece of work of Maya Angelou? I'm sorry if we pronounced that correctly.
I noticed, though, that she doesn't correct anybody. She just graciously answered to both of them all her life, even though when you heard her say it, it was one way.
Yeah.
So, again, very
I've
gracious.
kind of taken that stand with the way people pronounce my name as well. Okay. You know who I am. I know who I am.
I know who I am.
So let's give them our customary goodbye, and we'll see them next Friday.
Okay.
Talking about iGeneration.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us.